very much. I really appreciate this opportunity to join experts in various spheres of influence, and it's very great. It's delightful to me to be able to hear from everyone share their experience on data intelligence, and it's been a nice one. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I didn't take this for granted. Thank you very much. So, all right, most of our speakers, they've really spoken my mind and what I have in store. They've really spoken a lot. But then I will just share a bit from this. So, why data intelligence matters in education? This is, education is one of the backbone of our life because without education, I don't know where most of us will be today. Data intelligence is very, very important. Very, very important.
What happened to your
So,
camera? Mr. Sodimu, your camera is off.
oh, oh, my data is off. Okay, is it back now?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, it's
now we
back
can
now.
see.
Thank you.
All right, all right. So data intelligence matter a lot, a lot. Because it helps us to track performance, to help us to know how students are faring and the challenges that students are encountering. Like the former speaker, the one that spoke before I speak now, was talking about how data intelligence can, boost the performance, can help teachers to know how their students are performing. If you put the performance of your students in an Excel, you'll be able to know the one that is very good and the one that is not so good, which you call the lucky ones. So, as a linguist, I'm a linguist, and I graduated last year from University of Maiduguri, and I carried out so many projects, and I see that without data, we can't do much. In Nigeria, where we see that students in federal universities just go to school just to just to write the exam and just to pass. They don't really have time, or they don't really want to know what the education or the academic itself really entails. Students just want to go to school, just write the exam for passing, and after that, that is all. They don't have anything to offer again. And that has been a problem in the secular world, because if you don't really understand what you were being taught in school, then how can you defend yourself when you get outside? So this is a major problem. And then I feel the students and the lecturers, the teachers have a lot of things to do in this particular aspect, because if the lecturers are nonchalant, or they don't really want to teach the student, or they don't really want to look into the affairs of what the students are doing, there is no way we will have a better performance. So I think data intelligence matters a lot for teachers, for lecturers, for students. It matters a lot. So we can't blame the student for not performing well if we don't help them. And how can we help them? It is through data. When we get data, then we will know the ones that are performing well and the ones that are not performing well. Just like one of our speakers spoke earlier on, it spoke about student that is having an emotional challenge at home and is beginning to perform very poorly in class. And then, because of data intelligence, the teacher was able to look into the affairs, bring in counseling, bring in guidance, and before you know what was happening, it was rectified. And the next term, the student was performing very well. Why does this happen? It is because they have data, they have facts to prove that this student is not doing very fine, is not doing well. But if you don't have data, then how do we know that the student is not performing well? So data is very, very important to be able to know. The best way to predict the future is to create it, and decisions should be based on knowledge, not just opinion. So through it is through decisions, our actions will determine it. So data intelligence replaces institution only. Only leadership that know how to so I want to give us some various scholars which have talked about data intelligence. We see about UNESCO. He said relevant the intelligence use of education data enables evidence-based planning. It improves learning and learning outcomes and inclusive education system. So if we use data intelligence very well, it will enable evidence-based planning. We'll be able to plan very well, and the outcome will be visible. And inclusive education system will be able to know this is what is happening in this class, this is what is happening in this sector. For education, it is very, very important. The other speakers have talked about AI. Let's not even go there because that is broad. But we are talking about data, how to know students that are performing poorly. These days, students don't really have time to just stay, or they are not really interested. But we teachers, we educators, we can inculcate in them things, or we can help them to perform better in the academics. AI has not come to take over. It is only people that know how to use AI that will take over. So data intelligence is very, very, very necessary. So what to the student, how can data intelligence help? It identifies learning gap early. For a teacher now that is teaching a student, if you are using data intelligence, you'll be able to know the student that is performing very well. You'll be able to know the one that is not performing well early before the exam. It is not after the semester's exam that you'll be able to say, oh, this student is not performing well. No, that should not be. As teachers, as educators, as instructors, we should be proactive. We should not act when the deeds have been done. No, we should be proactive. Also, it reduces failure and dropout rate. It will reduce failure drastically because we are able to track their performance. We are able to know the ones that are doing very fine. In which subject are they doing fine? We can see a student that is doing very fine in English and is not doing very fine in mathematics. If you have data intelligence or you use data very well, you'll be able to know what problem, why is that student failing in that particular subject. So data matters a lot. It helps us to reduce failure and dropout rates. Also, improving competition and graduation outcome. There will be competition among students. When students see, oh, this my friend is doing very fine, it will energize them also to perform better. And graduation outcome will be very, very much. You will not see people just graduating from school, not knowing their very, not knowing what they even studied in school. It will help them to be able to stand out when they get outside, to be able to know that, okay, this is what I really studied in school. Not just that you just pass school and the school does not pass through you. That is very bad. So this is very, very, very important. Also, one of the strongest arguments for data intelligence in education is equity, which one of our speakers has spoken earlier on. With intelligence use of data, institutions can identify gender gaps, can track dropout patterns, and also support students from vulnerable background. Some students come from vulnerable background where there is no feeding, there is no social amenities. It can be able to track how can we help them to be able to grow faster, to move well in the academic performance. So if we use data, the correct use of data will be able to help us know that this and this and this is what the student are struggling from. So what are practical data intelligence tools that we can use for educators, for instructors, for lecturers, for teachers? What are practical tools that we can use? The chairman, he spoke on Excel and Google Sheets the other time. If we just have them, sometimes it's not as if we are not using these tools, but we are not using them intelligently. It's not just about having data, but it is about the intelligent use of that data. We use Excel, we use Google Sheets, but do we use them to track performance? Do we use it to track attendance? Do we use it to track continuous assessment? There are data. It will even be able to track how the teachers, maybe they are overloading the teachers with work, or the teachers does not even know what they are doing. So it will make us to know this Google Sheet and Excel. Once we just put the student grade, the Excel will bring it out automatically with just input, the student that is doing well and the one that is not doing well. So this is what these tools will help us to do.
Thank you so much.
Can I conclude?
Yes, conclude, please.
All right. So there are some key takeaways every one of us should know. Intelligence is not about just numbers, it's about decision. How we use, how we decide on this data that we have. And small actions create big impact. And also, equity depend on evidence. If we don't have evidence, then there is no how we can track our record, our performance. So leadership drive data culture. So it's based on the tutors, the leaders, the teachers, the lecturers. Data intelligence is very, very important to be able to track our our student performance. And I hope with these few points I've been able to share light on why data intelligence matters. Thank you very much, Dr. Said. I'm really enlightened. Thank you very much for the opportunity.